Welcome to the Service Management Show from the team here at Eficode. I'm Gary Blower. I'm the IT Service Management Practice Lead for Eficode in the UK. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about managing a customer support team. And I'm pleased to say I'm joined by James. Would you like to introduce yourself, James?
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, my name's James Stride, work at Eficode UK, and I'm the customer support manager. I've worked here since 2018. My role's kind of changed over the years, but right now, my main focus is supporting customers under total support.
Thanks, James. So we've covered lots of topics in this show so far, everything from IT experience management through to asset management. And I thought we haven't really covered the kind of core thing that most people use a service desk and most people in service management do, which is providing support to customers. So James here, as James said, has been working in this role for some time now. And I thought it would be good to sort of share experiences of that role, what kind of works, what doesn't work, all that kind of stuff. So first question to you, James, when you obviously do this for a while now, but when you think of customer support, what are the kind of key things that you feel you are providing to provide that level of support?
Now, I think first off is to ensure that you kind of understand the customer. Quite often we find that customers are giving feedback where they just kind of get automated responses or they're being passed to a URL or something like that, whereas we try to offer kind of a hands-on approach to make sure that even if it is some information we're trying to get from an article or some sort of Google result, we are actually interpreting it and putting it into a way that the customer understands.
And, in your experience of the role you have now, what's the kind of typical customer interaction you have, or is it always different?
It all depends on the customer, really. A lot of people like interacting just over the tickets. Some people prefer to have a phone call or jump on a screen share. And of course, we're open to any of that. I think it has changed quite a bit since last year's become cloud first. We're doing a lot more screen shares now than we did previously. So that's quite a big change that the team have had to adapt to. But as I say, we're happy to jump on any method that the customer requires.
Do you find doing screen shares and things like that, do you find that's easier or do you find it's harder than before? Is there
I think it does take a different skill set. You have to kind of be prepared. Sometimes you can't be because you're just jumping in blind on a call and then you're given the problem there and then, and you have to kind of think on your feet. I would say it is more difficult. On a ticket, you've got time to review it, maybe go away and test something and check that exactly how something works before you send your reply. Yeah. But at the same time, it's something that we talk to the team about and we practice on as well.
And you mentioned at the beginning that, one of the important things for you in providing customer service is to understand the customer. Is there a mechanism you use to do that? Do you collect feedback or do you do surveys, things like that?
Yes, yeah, we have multiple methods of collecting feedback. The main one being CSAT surveys that are sent out each time a ticket is resolved. We send one of these out. Originally, we were using the built-in JSM satisfaction function, but we found that was quite lacking with just having stars and a comment. Yeah. So now we use Qualtrics. So that gets sent out. I get a link to this survey and it has a lot of detailed information in there. That's something that I review on a regular basis and then look where we can improve the product and what we can offer.
Okay. Now you mentioned about customers raising tickets. You obviously part of Eficode. We use Atlassian products, so you're using Jira Service Management, but of course you could use any sort of help desk or service desk system. So what are the important features for you of a kind of help desk or service desk that you can use to support your customer?
I think the main one is ease of use and the multiple communication avenues. No one wants to have to jump through hoops to have to raise a ticket. So with JSM, we've always worked with that, kind of practice what you preach. It's something that we're very versed in how everything works with it. So we've got everything set up with workflows, etc., that we think would work best with the customer. It's something we're always looking on improving on. We're actually looking to migrate to a different Jira site at the moment that's going to add some more features in there too. But again, as soon as a customer mentions something, we've had some what we called listening lounges as well at one point, and a couple of customers wanted some other communication avenues. So we've kind of set up Slack channels and other methods like that as well. But the actual core features from Jira itself, we've never had an issue with, and it's always been great.
Okay. Interestingly, the listening lounge you refer to that actually links back to the previous show where we talked about IT experience management and how you understand the value you're providing to your customers. That's quite a nice link back to that particular topic. You mentioned you use like Qualtrics and a few other things. Are there any kind of key metrics and measures that you take from the service desk and from the customers?
The main ones for myself is there's a question of just simply, was your request resolved? Obviously, that's what we aim to do, is resolve them. So that's what I look at, as well as the actual scores, and then a comment as well. Sometimes team members mentioned, was it important to give the positives to the team as well as look for areas that we can improve. So they're the main bits. I know that the CSM team we work closely with, they also pull out a lot of information. And then kind of they have a customer health score that kind of gets applied to all the total support customers. And that's something I can look at too. So if someone's a bit low, I can look at the reasons why and if support can help in any way. So all that data is used and we refer back to it.
But what about internally? Have you got like specific like SLA thresholds and things like that you have to meet?
Yes, yeah, we have to hit our SLA goals. So as part of the total support and our support packages, there's all the SLA goals that we have to meet. That's something that I review monthly. And yeah, I'll just action if there's anything required. On an individual ticket basis as well, I look through at what was breached, if there was something and why, and see if we can improve on that.
And what sort of SLAs are you working to? Is things like time to first response, time to resolution?
Yeah, so we have initial response, detailed response, and then resolution.
Okay. Oh, nice. And if you have a major breach, if we're talking to you're talking to somebody else and you're giving them advice, when you have SLA breaches, what's the best way of kind of dealing with those within the team?
So firstly, when I'm reviewing them, it's just why it breached. So quite often it could just be sometimes the customers will revoke our access, so we have to stop midway through a ticket or something like that. So quite often it's something like that.
Yeah.
But if there is a reason behind it, then that is something that I will bring up internally and then actually get the assignee of that ticket so I can actually understand why that's happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, go from there.
Okay, it just kind of feeds back into that loop we mentioned earlier of trying to improve things if there's a way to improve it. Great. So, you've obviously been doing this for a while now, and I think, probably between you and I, we've probably run service desks for quite some time. What would you say, when you think about, if you were thinking of starting from scratch tomorrow, so you're thinking about people, processes and tools, and you were asked, okay, I want you to set up a new customer service desk, customer support function for something. Where would you start tomorrow if you had to start from scratch, do you think?
I'll build off what I know, really. So firstly, you'd select the tool. So in this case, Jira. And then based off experience, as I say, you just want to keep things simple, but then effective as well. So you just want to have an easy method of being able to reach out. So you want kind of multiple methods, really. So you want the standard email and then the actual portal itself as a minimum. And then once that's in place, you want automation. I mean, we rely on that heavily at the moment. So anything that comes in, we'll get notified on Slack. We'll go through into a queue. A message will go out to the customer. All of that's kind of all automated right away before we actually need to action anything.
Yeah.
And then just making sure the actual workflow for each ticket works as you expect. And it just kind of flows smoothly, really. Sometimes you can get issues where if you have to pass from one person to another, things get lost or it just gets stuck or what have you. You just need to make sure that doesn't happen. And you don't really want customers chasing you going, oh, why is this being put on hold or what's happening like this? It just needs to be clear and understandable.
Yeah, the infamous hot potato, as it's known.
Yes.
It just gets passed around from person to person. People who know me know I've told this story many times, but when I worked at a big bank and I ran a service desk there, I had this issue once where we had an incident for a customer. We knew how to fix it. It would take 15 minutes to fix. It was a database script that had to be run. Database team knew how to script it. But when it went into that customer support channel, it got bounced around from different teams until it found the right team, and it took 5 hours. So yeah, it happens, and I'm sure everyone who's watching and listening recognises the hot potato is something we don't really want. Thinking of internally for your teams, I know you've got a team that does all this stuff. Is there any kind of internal training or anything like that you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. We get together on a monthly basis for an internal day, and as part of that internal day, it's to not only upskill but look at our processes as well, make sure everyone's happy with those. But in terms of actual training, so we have to pass ACPs. We also look at the Atlassian offerings on their university. I know at the moment they've got some free badges. So that's something that we're all kind of working on together. And also, I mean, as part of Total Sport, we offer training, so we utilise that as well. And Paul has been spending some time with some of the support team, a couple of hours a week, just to make sure they're brushing up on all the new features that are available in the applications.
Nice, yeah. Paul, our head of training in the UK, I'll just elaborate there.
Yeah.
So again, thinking of, say if someone came to you and said, I'm looking to set up a help desk customer support function, what are your top 5 tips? What would be your kind of top 5 tips that you would give somebody who's starting new?
Keep it simple. Sometimes you can be given a portal link and there's 100 different buttons you can press on it, and it's just a bit overwhelming if someone's you just want some help there. Keep knowledge bases. Another thing that really irritates me is when I'm trying to get support myself, you bring up a form, you put in your name, your problem, the application you're using, and then you get someone going, "Hi, how can I help?" Well, I've told you what I need. Please don't make me ask again, because it's just a nightmare. What else would I say? I'll just have the right team in place as well. The last thing you want is for a ticket to be sat there, especially if it's a high priority one and you're kind of in the background, you're not sure who to pass it to. So just make sure you've got your internal processes in place as well. And
you mentioned feedback.
Yeah, I was about to say feedback for those as well. So just to ensure, especially when you're first starting out, you're always tweaking, you're always improving. And the best way to do that is feedback. So just make sure you have that in there as well. I think they're the main points.
Yeah, and I think the other one you mentioned earlier, it was automate,
Yes.
as much automation you can. You can over-automate, of course, but some automation is always desirable rather than everyone having to do everything manually. Right, so final thing to ask you about, and I'm afraid it's one of those topics that it actually irritates me a little bit,
right?
Because it's been around for some time, but AI, artificial intelligence, it's worth just talking a little bit about that. So obviously Atlassian Intelligence is now available as part of the JSM platform. Obviously in my role, I talk to a lot of customers and prospects about it. Where do you see Atlassian Intelligence and even AI in general, because I know we internally use AI tools as well, where do you see that helping you in your role?
Yeah, I mean, as everyone knows, there's been a massive AI boom in the last couple of years, and it's something that we have been looking into, something that we can implement internally, but you have to tread a fine line between trying to just point your customers to a chatbot when actually a lot of our customers want that personal touch. So we did look at when a ticket comes in, that request gets fed to Chat GPT, that then generates its answer and then puts a comment on the ticket. But I didn't really like that because, as you know, some of these are quite bespoke, and you need to make sure, and it's just giving you more work to have to double check things. So that wasn't anything that we put forward. But as you mentioned, we do use that kind of AI internally just to double check things, point us in the right direction. I mean, but actually what we will use customer facing, there's nothing at the moment there. I mean, I know there's virtual agents that Atlassian use currently.
Yeah.
But again, you're kind of being pointed somewhere and you need a bit of knowledge before you start asking it.
Yeah.
Again, that's something that we just want to offer the helping hand to the customers. So right now we're not making any big changes around that, but there is stuff happening in the back end that we use.
Yeah, and I think that's been my experience as well. Actually, even, with other customers, is that the people who like the idea of the virtual agent tend to be service managers, and the people who don't like virtual agents are actually the real customers.
Mm.
So you have to be very, very careful, quite gentle with the way in which you use virtual agents. And where they can be useful is doing sort of where a customer doesn't know what they want. You can sometimes give them a little bit of a nudge in the right direction with it. But yeah, then it's never going to solve the problem. And you mentioned some of the other stuff. I think behind the scenes, things like AI ops, the ability to kind of filter, for the AI to kind of, work out where you're getting lots of thoughts being raised in the same thing, or something which is Atlassian are adding soon, which is called customer sentiment. You probably haven't seen that yet. All it will do is it will read the ticket, and then it will basically give you a suggestion as to what it thinks the customer is asking. So it can kind of help with vague questions, I guess. But I think you're right. I think using AI in a very careful and selective way is the way to proceed. Yeah.
Mm.
Any other sort of, you mentioned you're replatforming to a new cloud instance. Any other exciting things that you're looking to try to do with your customer support?
Yeah, the main one that's kind of coming with it is a live chat feature. So that's an add-on from AppFire that we're going to be implementing. We've tested and we've put processes in place. Obviously, it's hard to say how it will pick up. It may be that we just get one or two, or it may be that we get quite a few. So it's a bit of an unknown at the moment because we are quite a small team. So it's not like we're going to be able to handle that many. And we're still working to SLAs. So the difficulty is, well, your SLA is we're responding 4 hours. Well, you can't really respond in 4 hours on a live chat. You kind of expect someone to get back to you within a few minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just getting that expectation in place, really.
Okay. Well, yeah. Good luck with that. If people want to find out more about the customer service that you provide, what should they look for? Where should they go?
The simplest way would just be Google Eficode Total Support. That'll bring you to our website and the product and what it offers, and that's where my team sits.
Brilliant. Right, thanks very much, James. So we'll wrap things up there. So as usual, if you're enjoying these shows, then please do share these vodcasts with your friends and colleagues. These shows I'll put onto LinkedIn and YouTube. On the platform you can do so. You can like and subscribe, which helps us greatly as well. And please do leave us feedback in the comments or on the LinkedIn post, because that's also valuable insight for us. And if there's other topics that you want us to cover, then do mention it on there. So until next time, thank you very much.